Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite people, Pastor Vincent Komba from Tanzania. Today's episode will be a little different and that we will focus more on the spiritual, real bread of life, Jesus Christ, than the physical, real bread made with freshly milled flour. It has been my pleasure over the past 3 weeks to host Pastor Vincent during his visit here in America. Pastor Vincent is a gifted speaker and a teacher with a heart for missions and evangelism. He is the pastor of Christ Laborers Church in Vincent, Tanzania, and has been instrumental in planting more than 30 churches throughout Tanzania, many in very, very, very remote villages. And I made my first trip to Tanzania in the summer of 2021. Our ministry, Real Bread Outreach, partnered with another ministry to help start a bakery at the Potter Center in Vincent, Tanzania. It's a discipleship ministry founded by Vincent to help raise up and equip others to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. On his visit, I was able to hear more of Vincent's testimony of how he became a believer and a follower of Jesus Christ and his vision for the Potter Center, and I decided it would be a great story to share with everyone. So Vincent, welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. Brad and I are so honored to be even just a small part of what you're doing in Africa. So I had to have you tell your story to my listeners. Why don't you begin by sharing just a little bit about yourself and then how you came to know Jesus?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I want to start by saying thank you so much for your love and your generosity and hosting me here in your home here in the United States. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah. So my name is Vincent Komba. I'm a missionary and pastor in Tanzania. I was born in Tanzania and I'm serving in my country. Yeah. So I was born in 1989 in the family of 11 children and I am the youngest.
The baby.
Yeah. So my family is in a very remote place, in one of the darkest place in the country, one of the poorest place in the country. And my father is the farmer. He grows some crops, but also he had animals, cows, goats, and sheep. So I grew up helping my father take his animals to the bushes to graze them, to feed them, and to bring them back every day. So my father started taking me to the bushes when I was 9 years old. This is when he started teaching me how to take care of his animals. And then that was my life. All of my childhood from 9, I was just taking care of my father's animals. So my parents were already believers. And my family, it's one of the very few families in my community that had a privilege to know Jesus Christ. And I grew up in that family. But I remember when I was 14 years old, I realized that following Jesus Christ, it's not a family thing. It's not about parents are believers. It's not about the family goes to church. I used to go to church as well since I was a little one. But I realized that it's a personal commitment. It's a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. So I remember I went to my pastor and I told him, I have heard you preaching and I am convicted. I want to surrender my life to Jesus Christ. So he led me into prayer and teachings, and finally he baptized me. And then I would say that is when I started my personal walk, my personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And I was privileged to be given a small Bible, a New Testament Bible.
Yeah.
I used to put it in my pocket So when I take my father's animals to the bushes, then at some point I can pull out my little Bible and then I can read, and it helped me very much to grow my relationship with my master, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yes.
Reminds me of the great shepherd King David when he wrote
Praise
his
God.
Psalms out in while he was tending his father's sheep and animals. So you've started a ministry. Well, you
Yes.
started Christ Laborers Church, but then you've started this ministry called the
Yeah.
Potter Center. Tell us a little bit about that program and what led you to want to start this intense discipleship.
Yeah. So as I said, it was a grace to receive Jesus Christ,
Yes.
especially to the nature of the community that I come from. You know, it's a community which is not reached. 99% of the people who are living there are not reached.
Wow.
by
They've
the
never heard of
They've
Jesus
never
Christ.
had Jesus Christ.
Wow.
You know, I remember our little church, our village church, had like 30 church members in the community of more than 3,000 people.
Wow.
Then you can
Yeah.
understand, you know, majority are not reached. So I was raised in the community like that.
Yeah.
So I remember when I went to high school and college, I was part of the small group of believers. And then when we were studying the Word of God, we realized that the good news is to be taken to those who have never heard the good news. This is, it's a great commission.
Yeah.
You know, now I remember when I finished my studies, then I had a calling. Now
Yeah.
this is the time that God gave me a calling to go and share the good news with other people who have never heard.
Yeah.
Actually, this was one of the very difficult moments for me because I wanted to go and work because I promised my parents
Yeah.
that if they pay for my high school and college, I'll get a better job.
Yeah.
You know, all of my siblings, 10 of them, none of them made it to high school
Wow. Yeah.
because my parents couldn't afford paying for their high school. Now they are in the cities working, but it's a very low standard jobs.
Yeah.
They can't provide even for themselves. They can't help my parents and myself who were stuck in the village. So I was telling my parents, if you take me to school, I'll get a better job than
Yeah.
my siblings, and then I might help you. So I remember my father was saying no and no, and it took me 2 years to convince him. So finally he started selling his cows, goats, and sheep
To send
so
you.
as he can send me to school.
Wow.
And then he sold almost 70% of his land so as he can pay for my school fees. So when I graduated, he have sold all of his animals and a very big portion of his land, expecting that I'll get a job and I'll start, paying back. Not really paying back, but
Yeah.
at least taking care
And helping support them.
and supporting them. And now I have graduated and my heart is into the unreached communities. My
Sharing
heart
the gospel.
is into sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I was stranded. What should I do? Should I keep my promise that I promised my parents, or should I obey the voice of God, which is calling me into the missions?
Yeah.
So I was praying, and as I was praying, I was reminded of a story of a lady who was married for more than 10 years without having a baby. And then culturally, if not having a baby, it's like a curse.
Yeah.
So the husband abused her and the entire family abused her. And then she was mocked by the entire community. And finally, she decided, actually before that, her husband married a second wife. And the second wife started bearing children. So the entire community, they are like, now you are the problem.
Yeah.
So she was too much ashamed. She decided to go back home to her parents. And then her own parents, her own family also rejected her. So like, you're bringing shame to the family. You have younger sisters. How can they be married? If the entire community is, they are looking at our,
if something's wrong with you, it's
Yes.
probably wrong with the rest of these. Yes.
Exactly. So she was like, now everyone is rejecting me. What can I do? I better take away my life. And her friend was like, no, don't take away your life. There is help somewhere. And then she was taken to a witch doctor. And then witch doctor forced her to stay with her for 3 months, trying to do rituals and witches, but also taking advantage of her.
Yeah.
And she had no choice. What can she do? And then later, she's back to the community, waiting if there is change. No change. Sometimes later, she was sick. She went to the little hospital, and then she was tested HIV positive because of the witch doctor.
Yeah.
Witch doctors are taking advantages of desperate people.
Yes.
Yeah. So she was like, I'm rejected more than 10 years because of not having a baby. Now, if they know that I am HIV positive, they will reject me more. It will be worse.
More. Yeah.
So she was like, this is the time to take away my life. And then the same day she wanted to take away her life, I and my friends were moving in that village, house to house, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. And we met this lady. Wow. She shared her story with us. And then we are like, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
He died on the cross for you. He is calling you. He's like, come to me, all of you who are weary.
Yes.
And heavy burdened, I'll give you rest. And if everyone rejects you, we love you. We embrace you. We welcome you to the family of Jesus Christ. So she finally surrendered her life to Jesus Christ. And then we embraced her. We prayed with her. We loved on her. She cried. We cried. And finally she smiled.
Wow.
And she said, thank you. And we introduced her to one of the little churches in that village. So this is one of the stories God was reminding me. It's like, you remember I used you to save my people. He reminded me many other stories. So God was very clear to me, I want you to be a missionary. So this is how I responded to the mission call. I told my parents. My father was very angry. But later he understood, and he is now supporting me, and all of my family is supporting me. So this is how I started to be a full-time missionary, going to different villages and sharing the love of Jesus Christ, discipling people, and planting churches.
Right.
And now finally, because the need is very big, these villages are thousands and thousands of the villages, which are the same. I was like, I and my little church cannot actually go to all these villages.
Right.
Then I had a vision of starting a discipleship school.
Yeah.
A place, we call it a Potter's Center.
Yeah.
A place where now we can bring these disciples, the converts from different communities who have passion to learn and grow. So we bring them to the Potter's Center, and then we train them, we equip them, we inspire them. And then later we send them, we journey with them into different communities and plant churches. Yeah. So we are so thankful to see that is happening, and it's really making impacts in different communities.
Because many of these people that you're sharing the gospel with, that come to Jesus Christ and have a heart to go out and share with others.
Exactly.
They've never read a Bible.
Yes.
They don't have any foundation.
Yes.
Some of them are ostracized by their family, didn't have a place to live. So they come and live at the Potter Center for 6 months, I believe, right?
Yes.
Get intense Bible training, strengthening in the Lord, a good foundation.
Yeah.
And then if they have a heart to go out, they're going out.
Yeah.
That is amazing. When I first came in 2021, it was to help start a bakery.
Sure.
Using freshly milked flour right there at the Potter Center. Kind of to help feed the disciples that were there in the Potter Center, the community.
Sure.
I've now made 3 trips to Tanzania, and it was, such a pleasure on this last trip to meet the bakery team. They've come a long way. They got some other training, even outside of what I did. I was so impressed with their professionalism.
Sure.
And the report that they are making about 150 to 200 loaves a day.
Yes.
That's amazing. Very impressive. The bakery's beautiful.
Praise God.
And so how is the bakery impacting the Potter Center, or what you're doing there through the discipleship program?
Yeah, so it brings impact in different ways.
Yeah, because it's helping the community too,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. So first of all, we are bringing these people. Like right now, we have 48 students.
Wow, in the school.
In the school. And most of them comes from very poor backgrounds. Mm-hmm. They cannot pay, they cannot provide for coming and pay for 6 months. So now the bakery is helping to feed them
Yeah.
in their program of staying at the Potters for 6 months.
That's amazing.
And we have a team of volunteers and workers, 25 of them. So we are about 75 people who lives at the Potters for 6 months. Some are students, some are workers, some are volunteers. And then the bakery is feeding them.
That's amazing.
And number two is the community. You know, we are in a very community. You have been to Visiga, you know, our community.
Yes.
And then we do evangelism, and then we go to some of the homes and they don't have food. They are starving, you know.
Yeah.
So we give, we supply almost 200 loaves of bread to the community every day.
That's amazing.
You know, so some are elderly people, some are children, some are families.
Yes.
So they goes to different people. So that's number two. But also number three, which is amazing, when these graduates, when the student graduates, they go and plant churches.
Yeah.
And they come from poor background, and they are planting churches in a very remote and poor communities where they cannot find a job.
Yeah.
Neither the church cannot support the pastors and the pastor's family. So the bakery is also helping
with that.
Yeah, helping. And also the ministry of the feeding program.
Yeah, we were going to get to that.
Okay.
So we'll just go ahead and jump there. So when you came, I think it was last year.
Yes.
You shared that with us, that some of these pastors going out, some of them sleeping on the ground, sleeping in the open air, and again in a poor village, and they can't work and evangelize and be a full-time pastor. So we heard that some of them were our pastor, Jamie, from my home church, Ball Ground Fellowship, came back from a trip, a crusade, preaching with you, and said that one of the pastors had come back and said, I haven't eaten in days, you know, from the village. And our heart just broke. And when we got to do something about this, you know, here's people giving their life to share the gospel. So I think it was last November, we started the feeding program. Yeah. So that's been amazing. With the help of your team, you kind of put together a reasonable package. They get 11 pounds of corn and rice, 5 pounds of beans, 6 pounds of wheat, a liter of sunflower seed oil, and 4 pounds of sugar.
Sure.
And that we provide that Real Bread Outreach through our ministry and the support of our donors.
Yeah.
$25 a month.
Sure.
Feeds one person, that package. So y'all kind of put together that package, and we said that sounds great.
Sure.
So I think right now we're feeding 25 pastors and their family, which is about 100 people.
Exactly.
So that's been exciting. So how do you get it out to them? Because some of them are pretty far from the Potter Center, right?
Yes. Yeah. So there are regions which are nearby. So I'm talking of 100 kilometers to 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
Those who are in that region from 100 to 200 kilometers, we are supplying them. Mm-hmm. We send a team which is led by our brother. His name is Freedom Zakaria.
Yes, I love Freedom.
Yeah. So he used the motorbike to go to every pastor's house, every pastor's home, and deliver the package. But those who are up country, we're talking of 300 kilometers to 600 kilometers. So those ones, the package is being put into the buses, and then the buses are transporting them to their regions, and then they come to pick them from the bus stops.
Wow.
So,
So they get that once a month.
Exactly.
And when we were there in June, we had the opportunity to meet with some of the pastors.
Yes.
It was a real blessing to hear them say what a blessing the food was.
Sure.
And one in particular, he just said, we never thought someone would do this, providing us with food. And that it's freeing them up to not have to worry about their family and their children having food, and they can share the gospel. So.
Yeah, many other pastors, they serve in very difficult places, and then they have children. Yeah. Some of the families have 3, some has 4, some has 5. And then they are responsible to provide for their children, for their families. But at the same time, they have a burden of sharing the love of Jesus Christ to those who are less privileged. So what can they do?
Yeah.
So Real Bread Outreach is taking the burden of thinking how they can provide for their families.
Yeah.
And now, since this package is coming, this food is coming, they are not thinking about that anymore. They are just thinking about the work of God.
Yeah.
They're just thinking on how they can reach many people with the love of Jesus Christ. So it's a huge blessing. It's amazing.
It's just such an honor to be just a small part of what you're doing.
To you call it small. To us, it's a big part.
Wow.
You're playing a very big part, and we are grateful.
Yeah. And we couldn't do it without the support of donations that come to Real Bread Outreach. So,
Praise God.
Anybody listening today that would like to be a part of this amazing feeding program or what Real Bread Outreach is doing, you can go to our website, realbreadoutreach.com. You can make a one-time donation if you want, or you can set up a recurring monthly donation, or you can just mail it to Real Bread Outreach. And I'll put the address in today's podcast description. And I just want to say to our listeners about Real Bread Outreach, 100% of your gifts go to the ministry. We have no administrative overhead. Everyone that does work for Real Bread Outreach, volunteers, and we have no overhead. But I wanted to go back and talk about the bakery for just a minute, because that was my heart of starting Real Bread Outreach. Kind of one of my mission statements is when Jesus said to the people, it said crowds were just following him. And he said, I tell you the truth, you're searching for me, not because of the miracles that I did, but because of you had the bread and I fed you. And I just always believe that when you provide people with food, it opens the door and to share the real bread of life, Jesus Christ. And so that's exciting that you can have that. And I think, now this is a funny story. I just thought of it. When we were there in June, my husband, Brad, built cornhole boards for the people to play.
Sure.
And he's created a monster, as we say here in America. They have really turned on to this, but y'all are actually using it for evangelism.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I love that game very much.
Yes, I know.
You taught me here, and I became very competitive and winning sometimes.
Winning most of the time.
Yeah, so the game was a blessing. The game was a blessing to most of us.
Yes.
We are not exposed to the games a lot.
Right.
Because people are thinking of, work, job. There is no proper jobs in our communities, so people are not thinking of games. So when this came was amazing, and everyone wanted to play. Right. Even myself, I remember we used to play until midnight. One of the week we played like to 2.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
a.m. And then I remember principal of our school was like, you know what? In the morning, when people are in the class, they are sleeping.
From playing cornhole.
Yes, so we have to bring some regulations on the game. But it was real good, it was real powerful, and it have helped people a lot to refresh and to have time to socialize. Yeah. It's very good. Yeah. It's one of the impacts. And later, people started coming from the community.
Yeah.
I remember those 2 guys, they came to fix a door. One of the door had issues, so they came. They are Muslim guys. Yeah. When they came, they found us playing. We're like, hey, come.
They're like,
what is this? We've never seen this. So we invited them. We taught them how to play, and they played, and they liked it so much. They went back to the community. They told other people, and many people came. And we ended up sharing the love of Jesus Christ with these people.
Who knew? Cornhole.
Who knew? Cornhole.
And then I think, did you say that the prize sometimes is a loaf of bread?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
For the winner.
Actually, we did that with the soccer. Also, we played soccer, and we invited people from the community. The team from the community, it's a community team. And they are all Muslim. Yeah. So they came with their friends and family members. We played soccer. And then we said, whoever wins, and then the prize will be
some bread.
Some bread.
Which is,
And then they won actually will let them go on.
A little incentive, so they would have to listen to the gospel.
Exactly, exactly.
That's
so they
amazing.
took the bread, but also they allowed us to speak to them about Jesus Christ and praying with them.
Yeah.
And most of them, they have never had this. You know, sometimes you go to the community to share the love of Jesus Christ, and they are told, don't listen to them, to the Christians.
Right.
Do not listen to them. They are enemies of our religion.
Right.
So sometimes they turn away from us. But now they have come. They are playing, you know, the games. They are building the bridge.
And they're seeing these people are nice.
Exactly.
They're not what I've been told.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finally, they open their hearts to listen to the word of God.
Yes.
So the game now and the bread is opening the door to the community to share the love of Jesus Christ.
That's amazing. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew?
Who knew that the cornhole would become a Tanzanian?
Sure.
That's so great. That's so great. But I know that when we were there in June, I was really happy and grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do a little more nutritional teaching on freshly milled flour, why we do it the way we do it, and the importance of that. And that was so much fun to be able to do that. And I think it opened the eyes of the baking team and the staff there. So that was really good. And we made a few nutritional changes. I taught them why we need to mill fresh every day, mill only what we need for the day. And we changed the oil that they were using. I discovered they were using a margarine, which is not healthy. So I was able to share about the negative nutritional impacts of the use of this margarine. And we all agreed that it was not a good choice. And we learned that sunflower seeds grow abundantly in Tanzania. And it was actually the season for them in June when we were there. So they were harvesting them and pressing the oil. So we were able to discover that this would be the perfect time to buy an abundant supply because it'd be the cheapest price. So we found that we could buy a year's worth, and that would serve the bakery as well as the feeding program. So we got enough for that. So we were able, Real Bread Outreach was able to supply the funds for a year's worth of oil so that the bakery could discontinue the use of the margarine and replace it with the good sunflower seed oil. And I'll never forget the day when your brother Chris, who's the money cruncher, he knows every price of everything, and he can tell you in a minute what that's going to cost this much. And Freedom was there, who has some medical background. So when I explained to them, they were like, oh, we can't use margarine anymore. And they were crunching numbers. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget Freedom slamming his hand down on the desk, and he goes, and the sunflower seed oil is cheaper. We thought sure it was going to be so much more, but that was such a blessing. And but then I don't know if it was Sarah, your wife, or Agnes, your niece, that one of them messaged me and said they just had to tell me that the community noticed the difference in the taste of the bread and the flavor of the bread, and wanted to know what they were doing different, that they liked it better. So I'm like, yes, a big win-win for the bakery and the community.
I want to testify something about that. The impact it made in 4 different ways.
Okay.
Number 1, the taste became different, and everyone liked it.
From using the sunflower seed oil.
Exactly. And number 2, it's cheaper than the margarine that we were buying. Number 3, it's healthier than the other one. And number 4, we're supporting the local farmers. Because margarine was being imported from somewhere else. And then the sunflower seed oil is being produced by the local farmers. So we are buying from the local farmers, and then we are supporting them.
That is so great.
So
and the wheat you're buying from local farmers.
Exactly.
So we're so excited about that.
It has made a tremendous impact.
So through the Potter Center program, you've graduated now, counting this upcoming, you're about to graduate a class in December, right?
Yes.
So and you started the Potter Center when?
So we started in...
your first class was 2021?
2021.
Because when I was there, the first class graduated. My first trip.
Exactly. So 2021 to 2023, we graduated 78 students. And then this year, in December, we'll graduate 92 students.
That's amazing.
So when you bring them together, it's 170 students who have been equipped and trained in the past three years.
Now, not all of them necessarily will go out and receive the call to go be a pastor.
Yeah, but most of them are serving in different capacities.
Right.
Right now, everyone who is in the bakery
all went through the program.
They went through the program.
Yeah.
They are graduates of the program.
Yes.
You know, we have other people who serves in our local church who went through the program.
Yeah.
We have other people who went back to their local churches.
Yeah.
And then they are supporting their pastors and their ministers. Yeah. So everyone is ministering in different capacity, but now some of them are now ready to go and plant a church in a new community and live and stay there to evangelize and bring the love of Jesus Christ to the community.
Right.
Yes.
And I need to point out, Naomi, my first person that I trained to make bread, and she went through the program, has a heart for evangelism, but a ministry in Uganda that already had a bakery, they reached out to me. Yeah. And they were like, we've got to do the freshly milled flour. This is so important. And so when I was there in June, that ministry actually took Naomi, brought Naomi from Tanzania to train their bakery in Uganda. So it's just going beyond all that we could ask or imagine.
Yeah.
Who knew? When I said to Brad in 1992, the day we started Bread Bakers, my words to him were, I don't think I'm supposed to make bread for the world. I think I'm supposed to teach the world to make bread for themselves.
Yeah.
I had no idea that God was serious.
Oh, it's
Here
growing.
I am.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And just like I remember last night or the night before in the revival, you said, you know, what if that pastor that led me to the Lord had given up because he had been beaten and persecuted?
Yeah.
And what if he had given up and decided, forget it?
Yes.
Your family may have never come to the Lord.
Sure.
We don't know.
Yes.
So we don't know what one step means. But I just, before we close, I want to thank you for taking the time. You go home tomorrow. I'm going to miss you so much. Staying in our home for 3 weeks has been such a blessing. But, you know, is there a word of encouragement that you would like to leave the listeners with today? Just one last word, just that you would like to speak.
So I wanted to say thank you so much for you and Real Bread Outreach. And I want to say thank you for everyone who is supporting you, because their support is coming to us. You know, our ministry is now having 31 churches.
Yes.
And all the churches are ministering and touching more than 1,000 people every month.
That's amazing.
So you may think it's a little support, but it's already making an impact to more than 1,000 people every month. And then we believe those 1,000 people will touch other people, and then it's a movement.
Yeah.
So everyone should just be faithful to the little part or to the little role that God has given him or her, because that role, it's already touching a lot of people and making a lot of impact.
Yeah.
So my encouragement to the listeners is just obey God in the area he is calling you, in the area that he is putting you, in the assignment that God has given you.
Mm-hmm.
So just take a step of faith, just do something for your Lord. And then that little thing, God will grow it and magnify, and then it will make an impact to the thousands of people in the world.
Yes. And don't ever underestimate a small thing.
Yes.
A small thing, because it's far reaching. Yeah. So just thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart with us today. God. Thank you for the joy you brought to my home and our lives. And as always, I hope that everyone listening today was blessed. I realize that today's episode was a little different subject matter than what I normally bring, but I just felt this message, the gospel of Jesus Christ, is an important one to bring to people. And I can't help but think of the scripture, Deuteronomy 8:3.
Yeah.
And it says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that goes forth from the mouth of God.
Yeah.
And people hear me teach on the nutritional benefits of freshly milled whole grain bread, which can totally sustain our physical life.
Yeah.
But it cannot touch our spiritual life. Only the real bread of life, Jesus Christ, can do that, and the Word of God. As we're closing, the Lord put this verse on Vincent's heart. It's about when the Son of Man comes and the people come to him, and he is separating the sheep from the goats. And he says, the King will say to those on his right, "Come, you blessed of the Father, appointed to eternal salvation, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited with me. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you as a stranger and invite you in, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the King will answer and say to you, "I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, to the extent that you did it for one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it for me." We never know what God can do through us when we're obedient to the call that he puts on our life.
Yeah.
If you've been obedient, we're trying to be obedient. And thanks to the supporters of your ministry, of our ministry, Real Bread Outreach, we can do this. And together, we're going to share the love of Jesus to the world.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Amen.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
So thank you for everyone listening today. I hope you were as blessed as I am. And until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated, located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.